the Sustainability Management Master's Program, you're answering one simple question. Do you care about your future generation? If you care about your kids, their grandkids, then you care about sustainability. And a sustainability manager is someone who has the tools to make people understand how they can contribute towards developing a sustainable world. We have both part-time and full-time students. Our curriculum is 30 hours. Instead of thesis, we have a research project course and a seminar course which provides them with the kind of research background they will need to be successful in their job. But at the same time, sustainability is not always everything about environment. It also relates to the business. They will take a sustainable business strategies course. They will take a project management course. Most of these courses are going to be taught by industry people, the people who are doing sustainability on a daily basis as a part of their job. Any organization that has a large number of employees and has a physical infrastructure, they will have to have a sustainability office. If you have the passion to develop and maintain a sustainable world, come to us and we will help you shape your passion into a career which will create an impact.
Yep. All right, so without any further ado, let me introduce today's speaker, Pamela Samarco. Pam is the CEO of Green Training Associates LLC. It's a full-service talent development firm. She will talk more about what her firm does when she presents this slide here. So before founding GTA, Pam had a 24-year corporate career in various global companies, including Citigroup, American Express, Lucent Technologies, and Medco Health Solutions. Pam is actually a Stevens alumna. She graduated in 1992 with an MS degree in applied psychology. But today, Pam will talk about how to navigate the sustainability and green careers landscape. Welcome, Pam.
Thank you, Dr. Sarkar and Khalid. So, good evening, everyone. Thank you all for joining us today. I'm delighted to be with you. I'd like to thank Dr. Sarkar for inviting me to speak with you about navigating the green and sustainability careers landscape. Your commitment, dedication, and participation in this seminar shows that you're thought leaders for your careers and you desire to solve the world's challenges. We see a tremendous opportunity to help you seeking sustainability and green careers. We've got lots of tips, tools, and resources and trends, all kinds of great information. It's a value-packed presentation today. We want you to be workforce ready. That's what we call it, with a high level of career preparedness to step up to the challenges in New Jersey and beyond. Who's ready to get started? All right, I'm going to take that as a yes. I can't wait to speak with you all. So here's an agenda for you. We're in the introduction. We've got topics on the ever-changing landscape of green and sustainable business, trends where the world needs a tidal wave of change. We talk about what's happening in trends. Then we lead into green and sustainability career paths. We'll be talking about New Jersey and the state of our garden state, leading climate action and green economy. We've got some exciting news for you about this topic, and I can't wait to share it. We've got the green workforce readiness. What do employers want? So while you're looking for a job and building a career or an internship, what do employers want? What are they thinking when they are looking at you? And of course, career planning tips. And we have some open-ended discussion, question and answer before we close. So it's a value-packed agenda. Here's today's plan. We are having a conversation. Ask any questions on your mind, put them in the chat window or ask them at the end during the Q&A session. Be curious, open yourselves up for this learning experience. Experiment here in a safe environment, take good notes, and be prepared to type your responses for my Let's Chat slides. So I'm going to be engaging you, and I'm going to invite you to be able to ask your questions and respond to questions through the active chat window. And Dr. Sarkar is going to be monitoring that for us today. So I'm here today to inspire you as you seek your professional job experience and your lifelong career success towards solving the world's challenges. It's time to step forward with confidence, capability, and credibility, because emerging leaders should build your careers with aspirations to do what you love, be whomever you want to be, and be successful. So that's my message of inspiration for you. I'm going to invite you to create your career action plan today. Starting now, I'd like you to collect ideas for at least 3 actions to take with you today. So our first Let's Chat slide is coming up. Type in the chat window what your top expertise is. What's the #1 superpower that you bring? And what vertical industry do you seek? So I'd like to hear from all of you. Take a moment to chat your answers to your top expertise and what vertical industry you seek. And we'll just be collecting that information as we go along. Dr. Sarkar gave me a bit of a briefing about our students. I'm excited to get to know you more. So here's our first topic, the ever-changing landscape of green and sustainable businesses. Before we can talk about careers and job trends, we will first look at the ever-changing landscape of green and sustainable business. Navigating this landscape, which is what prompted this topic, will predict where organizations are driving job creation, and therefore it supports your career focus. So it's essential that we pay attention to the landscape and how to navigate it, and then what it means for your careers. So let's use the chat window. I'm going to invite you to answer this question. Where do you look for trends? The ever-changing nature of this landscape means that you want to be curious and constantly monitoring for changes in innovation, especially in your profession, your vertical, and the sector that you want to work in, because we're going to then want you to interpret those changes and what they mean for your career path. So knowing that you should be paying attention to those trends is critical. Let's go over a couple slides of where I see the trends today. I'm sure you're going to have ideas to add to this. So
yeah, 1 second,
Yeah.
not to, I don't think many people are like getting engaged in the chat. So if you guys want to actually, respond to the Let's Chat option, start writing. Zach actually has responded, and he wrote the news, the internet, and the stock market.
The internet and the stock market are great places to look for those trends. Absolutely. And if you watch certain channels, there's like Cheddar News that always has an environmental and climate segment, as well as CNBC, MSNBC, CNN, and all the major news networks. So those are great ideas. The path of the stock market definitely has, I think there's a Dow Jones Green or Sustainability Index, where they segment companies that are in that sustainability category. So that's an interesting path as well. Any other thoughts, Dr. Sarkar?
Yeah, they are also talking about word of mouth, then like newsletters like GreenBiz, social media. Now, like people are like actually taking advantage of that chat box, and quite a few things have come in, like LinkedIn, podcasts, working professionals, specific, Anisha talks about specific blogs and articles from verified authors she follows. And Venkatesh compares it with what used to be the case like a decade ago.
Those are all fantastic. Thank you for sharing those ideas, and thanks for everyone for participating. So with the trends that I see, here's what I'm gathering. When we look at those sources, the world needs this tidal wave of change. It is underway in a big way. We know that climate change, starting on the left column here, has increasing severity and volatile weather patterns. So I follow the meteorologists as well, because their weather reports are talking about what's going on from a climate standpoint globally and the impacts of some of those volatile weather patterns. The acceleration of sustainable development is happening everywhere. Given the list of the trends and the places that you monitor trends, we know there's more and more information every day and science-based evidence and data that's telling us what's going on in the world. And companies are responding to that. There's some fits and starts. We've got some ebbs and flows. Technology and innovation is never perfect. We know that. But as we start to monitor what's going on, we're getting better and maturing those initial innovations around solar, EVs, et cetera, right? So the private sector and all other sectors have jumped in full force. There are still some, I think there's still some fits and starts. I just saw a report on BP gas company. They've pulled back on their initial set of leading edge targets for net zero carbon emissions, but because their profitability is up and they're still seeing a lot of play for oil and natural gas, they've kind of scaled back their targets. That's not ideal. It doesn't pose well for the brand when they're not committed to their 2050 goals. But that said, they've got goals, which is a good start, right? The new competitive edge is collaboration and partnerships. That's huge because companies are pulling together. There's partnerships and collaboration that's driving the innovation and improving access and ability for companies to operate with these partnerships. I love that the 21st century has been called the century of the environment because every sector, every industry, every organization, household, and individual can and are contributing. So the interdisciplinary approach of science and technology equals greater innovation. That's the leading edge. Your engineering, technology, and science are what the underpinning of changes that are needed everywhere. And also human behavior, which I think is sort of it's not spoken a lot about, but human behavior and our motivation for change. We're creatures of habit, so we have a hard time changing, but making green decisions every day is for companies and individuals that are in positions of making decisions to be more triple bottom line oriented. There's no quiet corners anymore. There's waves of disruption that we see in every industry. The circular economy is a new language, ensuring a closed loop system, which is very exciting. Cradle to cradle was an early concept, and circular economy has spiraled out so that there is a life cycle analysis or assessment of the products and how we have this closed loop system where we're planning for the full circle effect of products that are being manufactured today. Broadening the triple bottom line is interesting because we not only see the prosperity, planet, and people, but we've added peace and partnerships, and that's due to the UN's SDGs. And the global sustainability story is gaining significant momentum. We see urgency, we see action, we see more crises in the news every day. Recent earthquake in Turkey and Syria, which very severe impact that I think they haven't seen something like that in over 100 years or something, right? So these kind of natural disasters are occurring more and more. And of course, specific goals and driving innovation is critical. The UN SDGs 2030 agenda, they've got over 169 indicators with 17 sustainable development goals. That's a driving force in the framework. We're going to talk more about that shortly. So that's an initial. I've got more trends to speak on. Transparency is huge. In fact, we've got more sophisticated climate and carbon tracking metrics due to the Federal Inflation Reduction Act and the SEC climate impact disclosures. Now, that said, I just heard yesterday that the SEC may be reducing or weakening those requirements. I think for the SEC, I think it's still very important, but the bottom line is the SEC is it's heavy lifting for companies to track and report, especially with their supply chain. That's the worst part of Scope 3 emissions. So one of the problems that we have is the trackability and disclosures that require it. And companies are jumping through hoops around ESG reporting, and there's lots of data crunching platform, hundreds of data gathering points, all of that extra effort, plus the SEC then is seeking to standardize that. So I think we're running before we can walk. I think there's more work to be done, but I just heard they may reduce a little bit of the impact disclosure requirements. They may relax them, and I guess that may change over time. But the fact is, we have SEC impact disclosures, right? And that's a really good sign because it's holding companies responsible for transparency. GRI and SASB, they're doing a good job maturing and refining their standards and aligning the frameworks. Data analytics, ESG reporting techniques are coming into focus. Green finance and risk assessment and sustainable investment strategies are growing. I think it's important. That's part of the transparency that's being connected into the changes and trends that we see. And of course, the top ranked companies commit to sustainability. The financial markets are seeing better business results as companies become more sustainable, because innately they're working on operational efficiencies, they're managing their supply chain better and more tightly, they're watching their people strategy aligned to their sustainability goals. There's a lot of good things going on. In the right column, we've got the millennial and Gen Z. This is 2/3 of the workforce today. They're demanding sustainable business practices, and they're walking the talk with impact on their actions. They won't buy products for companies that are not environmentally protecting the environment and being transparent about it. And they won't work for companies, they won't buy their products, and they won't invest their inheritance in those companies. So we've got a lot going on from a generational shift in demographics from a marketplace standpoint that are driving companies to pay attention to their environmental branding as well as their actions. And it also, it also benefits the environment because there's a risk assessment that's being done over companies don't want, individuals and shareholders want to see a company do a better job of that and mitigate the risks that their company is having on the environment. We see a lot in employee engagement driving corporate culture shifts, and that's due to some of the workforce with the demographics with the young professionals. And of course, ESG, social sustainability, has blown up with being present with diversity, inclusivity, gender parity, gender equality efforts. So, the S in the ESG has risen up as an important, shining a light on making sure that a corporation pays attention to these social issues. And so sustainability and climate crisis, of course, as we said, are constant. They're in the headlines every time we turn the TV on. So what do these trends do for us? Well, they're predicting the new jobs in all of these areas. So when you look at the trends and what's going on, the jobs are going to follow, and that's an exciting prospect for your careers. So let me point to this particular National Bureau of Economic Research study. The researchers launched a real company and recruited workers via Craigslist in 12 US cities. Guess what? The findings are fascinating. These firms, embracing the mission that goes beyond generating a profit, can attract more and better quality job applicants. So people want to work for a firm that is doing good and doing well. So they actually received a 25% boost in applicants by simply taking on a do-gooder image. And that's the sustainability recruiting, the branding, environmental and sustainability messages in the branding as they present their company to candidates. They've also hired employees that are more productive, and those employed are willing to work for a lower pay than those brought in without such messaging. So the purpose-driven mission of companies is making employees feel like they're contributing to the environment and that they want to work for a company, and the number of applicants go up when companies do this environmental branding in the recruiting messages. So these are all leading edge indicators of what to look for as you start to look at trends and how it relates to your career path. So I spoke briefly about Sustainable Development Goals earlier. So how familiar are you with the UN's SDG goals? There's 17 of them for their 2030 agenda. Sometimes these are not taken as seriously as I think they can be. What I like to look at is this framework as another way to look at sustainability and green careers. Every career opportunity that you can think of is here, with purpose-driven, meaningful careers found in every single SDG. So it's exciting when you can look at an SDG and say, I see myself in this SDG. Go look at the metrics, go look at the indicators. You can actually commit to SDGs in their website if you're a company and you want to demonstrate your commitments. It's global, which is also what's nice about it. And it's far-reaching to every corner of societal issues. So it's beyond environment when you're looking at poverty and zero hunger and life on land, peace, justice, and strong institutions, like partnerships for the goals. Like, this is beautiful. This is global. It's all encompassing. It's a nice framework. And your job may be in any of these pillars. So what's in a name? Well, sustainability and green are constantly maturing. There's hot buttons, there's emerging fluid language. So I like language when it's a snapshot of the going on in the trends. And the sustainability and green sector are demonstrating these trends with innovation, new solutions, new career types. How many of you have heard of a STEAM career? Well, this is a STEM career, but it has an arts component to it. Fascinating. We continue to expand and develop our thinking over how every person in every profession can contribute. So to stay relevant, you want to monitor and track these trends. And in this language, at minimum, helps you look at your profession, the sector, and the vertical industry that you're seeking. And broader trends will have an impact here as well. When we look at legislation, strategic breakthroughs, the weather patterns, geopolitical forces in all of the industries that are impacted by the global economy and the issues going on. But these are all fascinating. They're all relevant. It's a sort of a nice way to summarize what we've talked about. I think detecting greenwashing and accountability is huge today. That's another major trend that I see, which is people not accepting at face value and calling companies out when they say one thing and another thing is happening right in their world. So there's a lot happening here. And of course, the federal government legislation around the Inflation Reduction Act is significant. I just saw a piece yesterday on the news that the EVs, there's a like $7,500 incentive, I think, when you buy an electric vehicle. There's lots of good things happening. The expansion of more charging stations, which is really the limitation of an EV, the risk of running out of your power while you're driving. And that's the goal, is to increase the charging station availability. So there's some really cool trends, and language comes with it. So paying attention to that as you look to the trends from the news sources that you receive your trends. And, allow me to move into the green and sustainability career path. So now we've got a good, strong picture of the trends. Let's look at what's going on from a career standpoint. I'm going to invite you to use the chat window and answer the question, what would be your dream job title? So I'd love to hear from you. When you think about your dream job title, what is that? That gives you some way to envision your future. So keeping that in mind, we're going to proceed now. I want you to start thinking about this as we go through this next segment of the presentation. So what are sustainability careers? Well, there's 3 ways to categorize these careers that correspond to the federal government's definitions. Sustainability careers can be categorized as jobs that have always been green or sustainable. A park ranger is a good example. Traditional jobs that have a green layer, that might be an electrical engineer that now understands renewable energy and clean tech. New and emerging jobs that never existed or are yet to exist in the future. So Chief Sustainability Officer wasn't a job title until a couple of years ago. It was an Environmental Health and Safety Officer. So now we've got Chief Sustainability Officer. So I'm eager to...
Sorry, Pam.
Yeah, go ahead.
They have started putting their thoughts in the chat room.
Great.
Rishabh wants to be a CEO. iPhone, I don't know who that person is. They want to be a CEO. Mark wants to be a CSR manager. Anisha wants to be a Chief Sustainability Officer. Zach wants to be a Director of Sustainability. Venkatesh, CEO. Tanvi, Sustainability Manager. Sabrina is not quite sure what the dream title would be. Then somebody, I don't know who this person is, Zoom user, wants to be a ESG manager, and Gabriella, Sustainability Manager. Beautiful.
Thank you for sharing. Those are fantastic career aspirations. And with this degree that you have and your internship experience to come, or that you're already looking for an entry-level position, that just bodes well for your preparation and your qualifications. So I applaud you for having those dream jobs, and I'm excited about the opportunity for you to achieve those. We've got more tips to come, so hold on to your thoughts as we go through the organizations seeking green and sustainability professionals. So we think of sustainability in organizations very broadly, and what I'd like to do is start at the top of the graphic in the green box, and we're going to move clockwise. So these jobs, organizations, can be found in all sectors. private, nonprofit, government, non-government education. So think more specifically, like which sector do you want to take that dream job title and find a place for yourself? It's also in all vertical industries. So do you want to work in retail, manufacturing, engineering, professional services? Do you want to work in a clean tech company? Do you want to work in a traditional organization and work toward helping them become more green and sustainable? So all vertical industries have a place. And if you have a penchant for them, you may select a vertical where you're going to target your job search, right? So for me, I came from four verticals. I was in financial services with 2 companies. Then I was in technology with Lucent Technologies, Bell Labs Innovation. And then I was in pharmacy benefit management. So I had 3 verticals in 4 corporate jobs before I started my business, which is now going to be 15 years old this year. So it's exciting, but you build on that vertical. And sometimes your vertical experience actually helps inform an employer because you're building expertise in a vertical and you're doing a greener sustainability job in that vertical. And whether you want to stay in private sector, you have a penchant for the other type of sectors, that's an important decision as well. So let's go to the gray box here. Organizations may have a core strategy to be more sustainable in its goods, services, and practices. They may wish to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. So you may work for a traditional organization and they have a core strategy to improve sustainability, in which case you come in with your expertise to help them. And then you've got organizations in the blue box that work for the goal of sustainability. Companies like TerraCycle, if you like, eliminating the idea of waste is their tagline, or something like Seventh Generation that's part of Unilever as a global company. They're focused on organic and sustainable and green products, right? So there's cool things to think about in terms of what your path is for those great job titles. But emerging careers may involve working for sustainability goals and doing so by sustainable means. So that's perhaps a sustainability career in the fullest sense, which is a kind of cool way to look at who you are and what you do. So let me move into the next segment. I am over the moon with this extraordinary commitment from New Jersey. I have exciting news to share with you. Pay close attention because I promise you, your minds are going to be expanded and you're going to be equally excited. So we're talking about the state of our garden state, leading climate action and green economy. So I'm giving you a quote here in the green box. New Jersey can seize on the opportunity to be a leader in environmental justice and the transition to an equitable, clean energy economy. This quote is from Jane Cohen. She's our executive director of the Office of Climate Action and the Green Economy. There is a specific office that's dedicated to this, in addition to our DEP and many other departments in the government, in our local government. So we're going to be talking about trends, the positive action, changes, and governance for New Jersey's efforts toward green and sustainability. So here's the thing. New Jersey is planning to be a leader, a green economy leader in the entire US. So in monitoring green and sustainability jobs, sustainability is very broad. So it's challenging to identify, track, and monitor and organize job data that really needs big data analytics. And guess what? New Jersey has done that. And I've got 2 reports to share with you. All sectors are involved, as we said. Therefore, the demand is increasing for qualified professionals. Today, as I've monitored jobs over 14 years now, job descriptions are generally more advanced and they're more clearly describing the qualifications and job activities. So they're representing really what the companies are doing, which is evolving. So the job descriptions relate to how an organization is proceeding in becoming more green and sustainable. Now, the Federal Bureau of Labor and Statistics, they stopped tracking green jobs in 2013 due to budget cuts, but there used to be some reports in the federal level. But guess what? This New Jersey Office of Climate Action and the Green Economy has amazing green jobs reports. I'm going to share that with you in a minute. You want to take this link down and this other link, which is a New Jersey issued report. It's a 1-year plan for green jobs and the Council of Green Economy, which has issued a report for Green Jobs for a Sustainable Future report. And many New Jersey job agencies have targeted plans. So I'm going to share some details with you, but essentially, our state is stepping up in a big way to lead the green economy in the US. Now, another aspect of my research was to scan the New Jersey government websites and collect the resources available. And I've been involved with most of these organizations that you see here. So you may ask, why are these important? Well, for three reasons. An extraordinary amount of time and effort has gone into creating a solid foundation for New Jersey's green workforce efforts. You'll continue to learn how to apply your education in solving real-world problems when you look at these government agencies that are participating in some form of sustainability environmental work. So the second reason is for job networking. Be sure to sign up and track the activities for the agencies that relate to your career paths. So if you're an architect, you would sign up to be in the U.S. Green Building Council. There's a local New Jersey chapter. And if you're interested in waste, there's New Jersey WasteWise network in waste management. If you like municipality work, Sustainable Jersey has certification process for all New Jersey municipalities. Waterworks, water careers are huge. There's a new water workforce task force that's focused on water careers for 536 water municipalities throughout the state. So this is very big. Composting, all of these associations are targeted at doing good things. So the third point and the third reason as I close this slide, in collaborative partnerships, we want to coordinate and funnel information from the college community to the employers, to these organizations or agencies that are supportive of sustainability and green efforts in New Jersey. So they're all connected because corporations are in these associations when it relates to their work. So if you go and you network, you're going to be talking to prospective employers, you're going to be talking to people that care about this matter and that care about New Jersey. So it's an exciting time. This is again about collaboration and coordination. So there's a lot of items on the side, but you could go to the New Jersey nj.gov website and you can do a discovery for yourself about your area of interest. So New Jersey also has a statewide climate change resiliency strategy. We've got 6 technologies that are predicting emerging jobs in all these areas. And it's important because Governor Murphy and our DEP are working on this statewide climate change resiliency strategy. You may or may not have been around about 10 years ago when Superstorm Sandy hit our state and millions of people were out without power. And there's a risk mitigation strategy and resiliency strategies to serve that we're more prepared for something like that, but also to improve our ability for energy access, offshore wind. There's a big offshore wind project initiative that's going to be creating thousands of jobs for offshore wind engineers and other experts in this area down in the Atlantic City area. We're one of the leaders in solar, transportation, clean buildings, resiliency. Let me invite you to chat in the chat window. Which of these 6 areas is your top #1 passion? If it's not present, I would also add water here because water was fairly new before this diagram was created. So think about where your passion is. Because
yeah, they have started doing that. Solar, then Ada Clean Buildings, Sabrina Clean Buildings, Tanvi Clean Buildings, Pratiksha Transportation,
right?
Rishabh Solar, Yenka Energy, Zach Resilience and Waste.
Nice, excellent list.
Clean buildings is a clear winner, looks like. Energy access, Anisha Clean Buildings, Mark Transportation with focus on supply chain.
Well, and guess what? I've got job information coming. So hold on to those ideas because guess what? I have 3 tables that help inform what's going on from the Green Jobs report that I just described to you. So you'll see here New Jersey Green Jobs by sector. And this report was September 2022. Now, some of the data was from earlier. Some of it's like total jobs is from 2020. So keep in mind, we're in 2023. but you'll see the top areas of where the job growth is. Environmental infrastructure is number one, energy efficiency is number two, about where the jobs are. And what I love are the national rankings. We're in the top third to the top half of the country as a national ranked leader in these categories or sectors of job, right? These overall percentages shift. The percentage change with COVID is a little wonky. So, we set COVID aside because it was stupid, right? But the overall percentages are showing a great amount of growth. And giving you further details, this side is critical because it's an assessment of green job potential. New Jersey can expect to see an additional 314,888 net job years over the next 10 years based on current green job policies and investments enacted across New Jersey to date. So the top table is the employment projections by technology sector, right? And so these are, the net growth is the 314,888. So there's some job gain, job loss numbers, but you'll see solar, energy efficiency, offshore wind, those are the top three, creating the most number of jobs. And those sounded like the majority of the participants were expressing an interest in buildings and solar. And the employment projections are then, that same data is sorted by industry over the 10-year period. So you'll see the job gains, jobs lost, the net jobs still come out to 314,886. But you'll see the all other indirect and induced industries as the top. Construction, professional services, manufacturing are the top employment projections by vertical industry. So this is really super exciting news because these jobs are being created, and that's based on the current green job policies and investments. But think about this over the next 10 years, this job growth is essential to becoming a leader in the green economy and in the country. What's important also to note is that these projections do not include the full slate of economic or employment impacts from the federal government Infrastructure Investment and Job Acts and the Inflation Reduction Act. So this data was collected and processed into this report by September 2022, and it doesn't include the impact, which I think is only going to increase the job opportunities in our state as the federal government starts to implement and fund the incentives and the other things that help create jobs. So this is a current view of what went on in New Jersey, what's possible in the next 10 years. If our policies and investments stay the same or increase, we could see a shift in increasing the job potential for New Jersey. So, this is significant. Construction, extraction, production occupations, office, administrative, professional services, people, manufacturing, like these are essentially where the job growth is going to be. So let me give you a snapshot of where are the green jobs today in New Jersey, green and sustainability jobs. What I did was a quick web safari. I didn't use any filters. So this is a broad set of numbers, no job level, salary, company or anything, but the status of this data is as of last week. I just went to Indeed and LinkedIn and did a search of green, environmental, sustainability, and came up with the job numbers in New Jersey and then some across the country. There's some USA numbers here from LinkedIn. And then the Indeed jobs are, some are specific to New Jersey. So I think it's important to recognize that today, if you did a job search, there's opportunities. I mean, over over 282,000 jobs in the US for sustainability, 68,000 in green environmental across the country, and a fair number locally in New Jersey. Now, keep in mind these numbers, there will be some overlap in the LinkedIn and the Indeed numbers. I didn't parse out what were the unique jobs in each of those, right? So LinkedIn may have some of the same search items as Indeed. Keep that in mind. You'll probably run into the same jobs posted in two places, possibly. So, it's just a start, is my point, of recognizing green job growth potential. So I'm going to pause, and before we move into green workforce readiness and what employers want, let me ask Dibs, are there any questions from the chat? Any comments that are important or relevant before we head into the last section of our presentation?
No, they were pretty much responding to your chat things, but I don't think they have asked any specific question. We can do that like if we finish on time, like after the presentation.
I will say that we're going to have time. I've got just a handful of slides that will help us level set what employers want from our early stage career professionals here. So this topic serves the purpose of having emerging professionals understand how organizations think about the talent acquisition process and their approach and what they want from you. And it also engages any organizational leaders with the workforce strategies and the things that you may want to consider. So let's learn more about this topic. Let me invite you to use the chat window. Tell me and Dr. Sarkar, what do employers want from you? And if there's any employers or organizational leaders on the call, I'll invite you to tell us what you seek from your interns and entry-level professionals. So feel free to use the chat window to share your experiences. What do you think the important things are when an employer looks at a new entry-level or an intern?
Venkatesh has started. He's saying dedication, hard work, and ability to learn. It's a descriptive question, so I think people will take their time. But iPhone says a good team player. Jahnavi, work ethic. Gabriela, certifications and experience. Ada, good work ethic, soft skills, collaborative. Zach, ability to learn quickly and experience. Anisha, ability to learn new things and adapt to new changes. Ava, Zoom user, adaptability. Imin says hard work. Tanvi, relevant job experience and skills. Sabrina, creativity.
Excellent. What a beautiful list. Thank you, everyone. So here's my view about building a company's green workforce strategy. This is how I think employers think about when they're planning their green workforce. The first thing they're going to do is define what's going on. They're going to be looking at the marketplace. They're going to be looking for industry benchmarks. They're looking at the growth potential and the innovation, plus a lot of other factors. But suffice to say, they start to gather data up front, and they're doing some research because they're then going to decide whether they're going to train incumbent employees or hire someone to do the work that's at hand. They're going to be looking for transferable skills that are within their organization that they can give someone a green layer in their job, for instance. And they're going to be looking at adding green competencies. There's green competency models, which are a lot of fun to look at. And they'll be looking for those 21st century skills that many of you just mentioned in your response to the question. So once they gather the definition, the framework, and research, they start to identify what the requirements are. They're going to be looking at the training a person has, the education, they'll be looking at credentials, and they're going to be looking at certificates. And then the final step is to locate candidates and execute the plan that they've just outlined with an employee development plan. If they're incumbents, they might seek interns and co-op students. They may just do a new hire search, and they may use social media as an active way to plan and execute their strategy for building a green workforce for their company. So what employers can do to prepare the green workforce, you guys named the top 21st century capabilities to be workforce ready. Companies can continue to build sustainability awareness to increase the career focus of their employees. They may communicate green workforce programs, tools, resources, and trends. And there's training career advisors and human resource professionals about sustainability careers. Not everyone understands them, and they're inside an organization trying to plan and hire. And working closely with higher education about employer projected hiring requirements. Stevens Tech has 600 employers in their network. So those employers are a good partner in collaboration with how to employ the students coming out of this university. So there's lots to do when employers on the employer side, and this is how they're thinking when they're considering who they're going to hire and what their needs are. So Dr. Sarkar asked me to include information about stackable credentials. So I heard a couple of times in the chat, keep learning is essential. So what else do employers want from you? Well, these stackable credentials do demonstrate that you are a continuous learner. And I heard someone say that in the chat as well. Bravo, because there's so much to learn. It's always changing and evolving, and we need to present ourselves in this work environment. A degree is not one and done anymore in the terms of your learning and developing yourself. So when we'll look from left to right and start with the green box on the left, identifying your dream job title. You did that for us. Use good filters, geography, what entry-level position, etc. Search for the job descriptions and opportunities, and then review the qualification and eligibility requirements. So some of you said you want to be a chief sustainability officer. In what sector and in what vertical industry, the needs may be changing if you're in a building or construction, architecture world, or if you're in retail or energy. So chief sustainability officer means different things to different verticals and different organizations. So you're reviewing those requirements. They're going to tell you in the eligibility section what the required and the preferred qualification and eligibility is in terms of credentials. So I encourage you to start thinking about this, and these requirements then inform you about what you need to be improving your employability, right? So we're preparing you for your career and your job search. Now, this is an eye chart, but I'm going to invite you to understand that there's many types of credential providers. So there's research on certificates and credentials. There's a minimum of 40. And what I did was I took the credentialing provider and made a list here. I captured the top ones. You can research. Some are more recognizable than others. And, as a caveat, this list is not exhausted. And it's likely that you might actually know more that you would be adding to this. And it may not include all of what's available globally, because like Europe, for example, is very far ahead in their sustainability and green efforts. In many ways, they may have additional credentials. If you're thinking of going abroad, that's definitely some additional research. But, several of you said about green buildings. Go to the U.S. Green Building Council website, look at their LEED credentials, and they have advanced LEED, and they've got other building credentials available. So these are important. There's a well building standard, if you like, the well building space, which is making sure that it's a healthy building for the occupants. So these are just a beginning of understanding what it really means to get another stackable credential, another layer of education. So I'll invite you. You know what? You guys did such a great job in answering what the employers want. You listed many of the power skills that you should develop in addition to your technical credentials. So I'll suggest this. There are so many people that just think about what their credentials are in technical and technology and scientific terms, and not more broadly around what I call power skills, which are your interpersonal effectiveness. That enables you to deliver your expertise in an organization with success. So according to my research, these are the must-have power skills. And you mentioned several of them in the chat, but I'll invite you to scan this list and know that you can learn this layer of professional skills that will make you more valuable to your employer and will make you more effective as a professional.
Yeah, they have started sharing their ideas.
Oh,
Rishabh says communication skills. Sabrina says open to criticism.
Oh boy, that's a big one. Taking feedback. Mm-hmm.
Back talks about critical thinking.
Good. I've got that, using critical thinking up here to manage complex problem situations. Intelligent risk-taking, cultural, emotional, and social intelligence, personality.
Tanvi says integrated approach, Christos, problem solving and intelligence skills. Anisha, ability to work in a team. Yinka, interpersonal skills. Christos, oh, intelligent risks. Gabriella, assertiveness.
Beautiful. Those are perfect. And more represented here. You've done a great job of understanding the must-have power skills. Fantastic work. So our last slide before we head into question and answer is the career planning tips. These are just a start of a general list. Prepare the career readiness action plan, develop and rehearse an elevator pitch. You've got your dream job, look at the qualifications, eligibility, participate in professional associations, attend events, network, use social media strategically, volunteer, join trade organizations in your vertical, identify and track, monitor target organizations, your ideal employers, and create a job agent. So let's open it up for questions and discussion.
Oh, like you managed to finish it in 50 minutes. Congratulations. That was an excellent presentation, Pam, and very, very informative and thought-provoking. So one